I'll show you some charts, and then we can go through some other things he said in his speech that were also quite incredible. But let's start with job growth. And he bragged a lot about the job growth. But as you can see here, what we're trying to show here is that job growth under President Trump, which has been significant, was actually lower than job growth under President Obama over the same 35 months, the end of Obama's term versus the beginning of Trump's term. So the idea that there's something unprecedented happening here is ridiculous.
Take it from progeria Rick Moranis.
All the characters. Gosh. Just can't be happy. These people can't be happy.
You feel bad for laughing at that at home, but you shouldn't. You shouldn't. You should feel good about yourself. It's a stupid comparison for so many reasons, okay? So let me walk you through this a little bit. I mean, you can say that this is me opining, sure, but I want to present some empirical data. Obama's economy, right, he came in after the housing crash. So the highest unemployment on record was nearing 10%, right? Or as they refer to it in Europe, good. So a lot of people don't realize. You complain about gas, drive to Montreal for a day. See what they're paying over there. Exactly, imagine what they pay in Europe. When you talk about wanting to vilify the fossil fuel industries, fill up your tank in Sweden, then get back to me. So it's easy, though, to add jobs when you have massive unemployment and you're coming off of a recession. As a matter of fact, it's expected. Right? What we have under President Trump is really different. What you have right now is the lowest unemployment on record. And he's still adding huge amounts of jobs right now after we hit the record low unemployment. Of course, taking it from 10% down to 7%, 6%. That would obviously be good, but you would expect it to go down from the abnormal. 10% is abnormal for Americans. Us have that kind of unemployment. But when you are down at 5% unemployment, and you're still adding record jobs, that matters. The question that's most relevant with Barack Obama is how did the economy recover? It turns out it was Donald Trump is right, one of the slowest ever on record. Slower than the average 4% growth that would be normal for the United States economy. Right, slower than George W. Bush's 2.7% economic growth, which people were not happy with, justifiably so. In fact, the GDP growth under Obama was the slowest ever that we have. Now, even CNN admits this. I'm not only talking about GDP, but I do think that it matters. Again, you can go back to look at all the numbers that affect you, your average income, the amount of layoffs, the labor force participation, what kind of economic opportunity there is out there, the cost of inflation. You can look at the cost of drugs that when you adjust for inflation have actually come down for the first time ever in my lifetime. These are things that affect you. GDP does matter on a global scale, but it's certainly not the only metric that we use. Pick a metric, find one that would show you that President Donald Trump's economy is not doing well. Here's what you need to know. We do have to go in a second. These are the fast facts that you need to know. Unemployment, all-time low. Layoffs, all-time low. Again, not just focusing on GDP on the average American. There is more job opportunity in the last decade than there have ever been, and certainly at higher wages. The average middle-income American family, they've seen the biggest increase that they've seen in half a century, the exact opposite of Barack Obama. During the first few years of Obama's presidency, the media preached his economy. They talked about how well it was doing. Most Americans, this is where I want to hear from you, weren't feeling it. And you can look at that as to where Americans were investing, what they were buying, what their purchasing power was. Now, President Trump is doing well, and most Americans, when asked, are feeling it. Undeniably, repeatedly, Americans are saying that they are better off now than they were 6 years ago. But, and this is what you need to know the most, or at least what you need to keep your eyes peeled for, the media wants you to believe the exact opposite. Which begs the question, when the economy and the average American, when they're doing undeniably well in comparison to the last several decades, and Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, the DNC, and their media cronies are dead set on getting you to believe the opposite, who do you really think is looking out for you? Who wants you to be successful versus who wants to buy votes? I think that's important. Final thing I'll leave you with, if Democrats need the poor as a voting base and Republicans need the rich as a voting base, again, this is simplified logic, but you hear this claim made a lot, Republicans are the party of the rich. Okay, then that would mean for Republicans to win any election ever, it is in their best interest to keep all Americans, what? Rich. And if Democrats only win the poor vote, it would be in their best interest to maintain what? More poor Americans. Which party do you want looking out for your finances?